Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're back to a showcase. We're going to check out Good Girls, number one, $2. This is by Fantagraphic Books, recommended for mature readers, by Carol Leigh. Although there's nothing really too bad about it, you know. It's adult, but not like dirty or anything like that. I think it's adult in the fact that only adults would be interested in it. I think if I was a kid reading this, I would have been really disinterested. But look, you know, we got this woman dressed up as a Girl Scout, whatever, and she sees other shoes. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like soap opera. By Carol Leigh, who I don't know. I never heard of her before or since. Production P. White and T. Moore. So I wonder if that's Terry Moore at all. So if anybody knows. So there's always like this like little freaky thing at the beginning. But let's look at the indicia. So this is Good Girls number one, April 1987. So I think this is old enough that I can show the whole comic without people getting upset. So this is the first. It's like two different characters. Okay, so this is Miss Lonely Hearts is the first section. So it starts in media res. It's already happening. She's dressed up as a superhero and she's hanging it from the roof. And then she's like, how did I get myself into this predicament? And here we have her. She's looking for a job. She's a writer. She wants to get a job. And what happens is she gets hired at this rag. What do they call it? LA Junk News. Oh yeah, entertainment news and lots of ads. You get it. You interested? And she's like, yeah, I need a job. And he's just like, I like your hair, you know, you're looking good. And, you know, and then this guy is, what was his name? Charles Van Halen. So he's got this mohawk and he's, believe it or not, he's actually like, he looks like a creep and everything, but he's like very professional. This guy was not too professional. And he's like, yeah, you want to be the Lonely Hearts column, you know, with the, you know, we need basically, we've all been taking turns writing. People write us letters, and you know we need somebody to do this. You can have the column, and she's like, yeah, it's her first step into the door. So she's like, I'll be Ms. Lonely Hearts. He's like, hey, Ms. Lonely Heart, good. It's a good moniker. She's like, well, my name's Monica, and he's like, oh, okay, that's the joke. So now she gets to work, and it's letters, and again, this guy Charles Van Halen, he starts giving her good advice. He's like, a lot of these are just jokes. It's like college and high school kids messing with you, so don't get involved. Like, just answer them in the way you think is best, but don't get involved with them. You know, a lot of them are just like people winding you up or trying to see like if they could set you off or whatever. So this one is hello, it's me again. Remember me? It's all about somebody who can't get a girl. And she's feeling bad for it. And this one is, I'm a superhero. My mother's also a superhero. So she actually is like, oh, I'm going to go check out this superhero guy. Maybe I could get a good story. So she's trying to become like a journalist, you know. And again, the editor's like, don't get involved with these crazy people. Most of the time, you're going to be disappointed. So he goes to the dump. She goes, it's a 5-story walk up. And the guy just pulls her in. And this guy's like 25 years old, just this giant guy who dresses like a superhero. And this is his mother, believe it or not. And they're like, oh, look, I like her. She's cute. She'll do. And he's like, here, this could be your wife. And he's like, but she's not even superhero, Mom. And she's like, oh, okay, you know, I'm going to back out of here. So the mom's like, well, we'll get you a costume. But you look like you could fit into mine. So they're like kidnapping her. They won't let her leave. So she's like, what am I going to do? She dresses up. This is her problem. And she's too, like, passive. So he's like, wow, Mom, she looks just like you. I love her. So the mother's like, hug her, kiss her. You know, she's yours. She's going to be your bride. And she's like, oh, my God, what am I going to do? She's like, no, let go of me. And he starts grabbing her. And he's like, no, you're going to stay, and you're going to get married to me. So she's just screaming. It's actually getting a little scary over here. And now we don't even know who she's calling. But she's like, yeah, I knew they would get along. And, you know, with this, he's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So the mother's like, go and set the table. You know, this will be your wedding rehearsal dinner or whatever. She's like, that's close. So she climbs out the window. Her heels break, and there he starts smashing her hands. Like, yeah, I'm going to save you. But he's goofy. He's stepping up, and he jumps out to fly. And she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And she jumps out to save him. And the mother dies, and the son hits the pavement, but he survives. And he says, I'm going to get you. You're not my bride. You're my arch enemy. You know, he writes this big letter from the loony bin. And she keeps the costume, and she's like, I should have listened to my editor. Really bizarre story. Really bizarre story. But this is the story that I really liked. So I don't know if this can be done today, you know, whatever, but just first off, look at the face, okay? So it's just really bizarre. So here is her blind boyfriend who's breaking up with her, and she's like, I never should have let him feel my face. I was so happy. I thought you of all people would be able to look past my surface and into my heart. He goes, but why should you be any different? And now she's crying. And she goes, my face is too weird for these modern minds, but it wasn't so back into Africa. So it's gone back in time. So her family were like a rich family, and they went on safari in Africa. And they kind of like lean into that they didn't really follow the rules. They get like a private tour. They're billionaires. And they got slaughtered by animals. But the little kid, the monkeys, it was like they went too close to an orangutan village. They got killed by, and then these African tribes people saved the baby. What was the name of the tribe? It was some like ridiculous name. I was adopted by the Chiefs clan and began the Bondogians. So she's living with the Bondogians, and she's like, look at the women. She was a baby, so she's a white woman, white girl, a white infant growing up among, you know, real Africans, black African tribes people who, you know, they do the lip plates and everything like that. So they start doing this body modification on her. They do the bumps on the thing. They start putting plates into her lips, and she's all excited because this is all she knows. She's, you know, doing all the dance. And then when she's of age, you're supposed to like you're supposed to dance, and then like people that are interested in you, the boys that are interested in you come up and dance with you, but nobody comes up and dances with her because they don't like her because she's white. She's not beautiful, you know. She's one of them. She's got the lip plates and stuff like that, but none of the boys want her because that's not what they're used to, whatever. And they said that the white skin is a sign of illness and depression. So she's like, oh no, I'm going to hit a certain age, like usually around 30. And what they do is they chase you and kill you because you're a witch. So she's like, I got to get out of here. So she sees other white explorers and she goes with them. And they're like, okay, well, what are we going to do? She says that she's not part of this tribe. She's white. She obviously doesn't belong here. So now they bring her to other tribes. And the other tribes, they don't like her because she looks like the enemy tribes. So she doesn't fit in anywhere. Look at this horrible face, you know. And then she comes to America. And she's seeing pictures of beauty magazines, and she's learning English. She comes into her fortune. You know, people are fainting when they see her. You know, look, Africa girl faces future informant fame. She's going to board meetings, and they just like nobody even will look at her. You know, she's trying to get her hair done to fit in, but you know, learning how to use knives and forks, how to dress, how to do makeup, and all this stuff. She goes, and all of these guys are just like hitting on her. Why? Because she's worth billions. And then they're just like, look, she's so ugly. I'm glad she turned me down. Me too. And she's just depressed. Wouldn't you be? Geez, what a horrible life she's had. You know, so she just packs up in the middle of the night, puts on a veil, and she moves into like a poor part of town and where nobody knows who she is. And she's just trying to, you know, doesn't know what to do. And she meets this blind guy. Blind guy accidentally hits her with the stick. They hit it off. And they're dating for months. And she keeps saying, like, you know, she's old-fashioned. She doesn't want to kiss. He's like, can I touch your face? And he's like, no. And then eventually he touches her face. And he's just like, oh, what a funny joke. You're wearing a mask. That's pretty funny. You know, you got me. And she's like, it's not a mask. That's the way I look. And he's like, what? So he doesn't even wait for an explanation. He's just like, what are you, like, deformed? What are you? And he's like, I can't deal with this. Even the blind man can't deal with it. And here she is just laying alone. You know, so they do two of these Miss Lonely Heart stories, and then one of what I can't even remember her name, but this girl. And I really like that story. Jeez. And then this is again, she doesn't listen to her editor, and she gives this like really bad advice. And then the woman who gets the advice, she's a supermodel, and well, there's a guy who likes this model. She basically works at a strip club. They read between the lines. She's working at a strip club, and one of the guys keeps hitting on her, and the guy is writing like, how do I get her to like me? And he's like, get a camera and pretend to be a photographer. And, you know, she obviously likes to be a model or whatever, and so now it's like this guy is stalking me, taking pictures of me, and I don't want my family to know where I work, and I'm divorced, I got nothing else to do. And she's like, it's your advice. So she actually feels bad for him. And now this creep, it's actually, again, pretty scary. He's just stalking her. And then, of course, her coworker is like, you could stay at my house, and she's like, I don't know what to do. Here's this guy. He's just like a big creep. So they stay at her house. He comes over, is like, are you guys okay? And here comes the big guy with the camera. He's like forcing her to take pictures. He's like, now be quiet and pose for the pictures. You just keep your mouth shut and pose for the picture. And so, oh, I skipped the page. So she's like, stop. He's like, that's great. Now take next one. Take off all that underwear. So she comes in and she's like, oh, okay. So she's keeping him distracted, and she hits him with the typewriter, and knocks him out. He had a gun in his pocket. Kind of a scary story. And she's like, oh wow, you saved me, and now they start dating, and it turns out that he's a pretty nice guy, like I said. So she, the typewriter's all broken because she smashed it over the guy's head. This is an interesting comic. I bought this because for some strange reason I thought it was a Hernandez Brothers. I don't know why I had that in my idea. It's not the first time I bought a comic book because of the wrong reasons, but and it's been sitting in my back issue bin for years. And I was like, it's only 4 issues or 6 issues, and they're quick reads. And I'm glad I finally read it. I really enjoyed it more than I thought, even though it's not the Hernandez Brothers. I don't know where I got that in my mind, but there you go. So that's today's showcase. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.